Así es, y el sábado lo vamos a demostrar por nocaut. He still has it, and Saturday we're going to show it by knockout.
Been right. Do you believe you knock him out?
Yeah, why not?
I don't want to see Terence fight Canelo, but I would love to see him fight anybody in that division, because even up to 154, because I think he's the cream of the crop.
The final press conference, Canelo Alvarez's longtime trainer, Eddie Reynoso, didn't hold back. He promised that the crowd will see the sharpest version of Canelo to date when fight night arrives. Reynoso boldly forecasted a knockout finish, emphasizing that Canelo's blend of power and experience would ultimately overwhelm Terence Crawford.
I think of him sometimes like Marvin Hagler, who when he fought Duran, he gave him too much respect, and it was close. So when he fought Hearns, he thought, no, I'm gonna go knock him out. What mentality do you want Canelo to have for this fight?
Me recuerda un poco a Marvin Hagler y lo que tuvo que hacer. Cuando ves a Canelo, ¿cuál es la mentalidad que él tiene con esto? Lo mejor de su carrera, lo mejor de 20 años de preparación y de peleador, eso se va a ver el sábado. This is the best Canelo we're going to see in 20 years of career, and we're going to show it Saturday.
Canelo Alvarez has long carried himself with the poise of a champion who thrives when the stakes are highest. Recently, he spoke openly about the upcoming clash with Terence Crawford, making a bold promise that he plans to secure a knockout. Confident proclamations like this are nothing new for Canelo, whose career has been defined by fearlessness and decisive power. His ability to finish elite opponents has become a trademark, and by guaranteeing a stoppage against Crawford, he isn't just making a prediction, he's sending a calculated message of intimidation to his rival and a statement of intent to the boxing world.
Thinks Bomac might throw the towel in to stop the fight.
Oh, could be. In boxing, everything can happen, right?
Do you believe you knock him out?
Yeah, why not?
Canelo, you said last year you have everything to lose and nothing to gain. And because you said if he wins, if you win, you'll say he's too small.
Yeah.
Is that still the same for you now?
No, when you don't have in mind one fight, you think in that way. But when you see how big is this fight, it's a big fight.
Though Canelo Alvarez admitted that Terence Crawford's new physique looks impressive, he was quick to dismiss its importance once the two men square off. For Canelo, the ring is the only place where the truth gets revealed, and that is where he intends to reaffirm his identity as a champion. He pointed out that every major fight sparks endless debates, predictions, and speculation from fans and analysts alike, but none of that changes the reality of what happens on fight night. Confident as ever, Alvarez insists that when the bell rings, it will be his performance that delivers the final answer.
It's good. I feel happy because that you realize it's gonna be a good fight. So, and we expect a good fight.
There are rumours circulating. A lot of people, conspiracy theories, think that it's photoshopped. What's your opinion?
I don't think so. People always talk, speculate and everything, but that's good. Around big fights always happen.
You're somebody who has moved up and through the weights himself. What do you think the biggest challenge of it is, and what do you think he maybe is underestimating with it?
No, maybe they know, but if not, I'm gonna remind them September 13. I can do a lot of things in the ring, and I'm gonna put everything there.
Respected trainer Abel Sanchez has voiced strong concerns about this matchup, making it clear he isn't in favor of seeing Canelo Alvarez square off against Terence Crawford or anyone in that particular weight range. Sanchez argues that the size gap is simply too wide and could introduce dangerous risks. While acknowledging Canelo's success across multiple divisions, he cautions that constantly pushing into bigger weight classes may be asking too much. In his view, these kinds of challenges could shorten Canelo's career and expose him to unnecessary danger inside the ring.
I don't want to see Terence fight Canelo, but I would love to see him fight anybody in that division, because even up to 154, because I think he's the cream of the crop.
Well, why not Canelo? Is that just a little too much?
It'd be like Canelo fighting the Charlo. He just, even though he's got a lot of talent, it's just not enough size.
Former champion Carl Froch has pointed out that Terence Crawford's physical condition now makes him look both bigger and stronger, factors that could pose real trouble for Canelo Alvarez. Froch also reminded fans that Canelo is not untouchable, recalling his defeats against Floyd Mayweather in the past and more recently against Dmitry Bivol. To Froch, those losses highlight that with the right opponent, Alvarez can be beaten, and Crawford's blend of size, strength, and skill may be exactly the kind of challenge that puts him under serious pressure.
Counter punches, past hands, naturally the lighter man, so it's going to be naturally the quicker man. But I said earlier, he's looking bigger and stronger, so I think he's going to be able to cope with pressure from Canelo at times. But Canelo, I'm talking about, how does he win? And I think use his size, his strength, and his weight advantage, his natural weight advantage, to sort of bully Crawford around and push him back and put him under pressure, if indeed he can. And I just think that his natural ability, he's got high work rate, Canelo. He throws combination punches, he's great with a jab, he's defensive, he's a masterclass in here. He does everything really, really well, exceptionally well, but he's also tough. He's never been down, never been put over, never really looked like he'd been hurt. I mean, he's had a couple of losses, hasn't he? He's lost to Mayweather, he's lost to Dimitri Bivol, but he never really looked hurt. I think Bivol caught him with a couple of shots that may have buzzed him. Never went anywhere, did he? Never touched down on the canvas. So for Crawford to actually hit him and hurt him, or hit him and put him away, I can't see that happening. Canelo just needs to do what Canelo does, which is busy, excellent boxing masterclass work, but on his front foot, put Terence Bud Crawford under pressure, and that will probably be enough for him to get the job done. Now, for Crawford to win this fight, he's going to have to box and move, use his speed, use the ring craft, you know, the skills that we've seen time and time again. Ricky Burns, I've mentioned, Kell Brook, the big win against Errol Spence. Nobody thought that would be a one-sided whooping, but that's what it was. Terence Crawford outclassed Errol Spence. Errol Spence is a phenomenal fighter. We know how good he is, and look what Bud Crawford managed to do to him. Such a quality fighter, and he's unbeaten as well. So he's coming into this fight, doesn't know how to lose. I know he's older than Canelo Alvarez. Has he got one eye on retirement? Maybe, but he's not going to want to go out on a loss. So Crawford needs to be fast behind the jab, combination punches, busy body and head, fast leg work all the way around the ring, use his speed, make Canelo reach like Bivol did.
Veteran broadcaster Jim Gray described the upcoming clash as one of those rare fights that only come around once in a generation. What excites Gray most is that both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are widely recognized as two of the greatest fighters of their time. He noted that the matchup is especially compelling because it's so hard to call. Canelo brings knockout power and the experience of countless big stage bouts, while Crawford enters with a unique versatility, sharp skills, and the confidence of being unbeaten. Gray's perspective underlines why this showdown has captured the imagination of fans worldwide. It isn't a lopsided matchup, but a collision of two icons whose strengths could deliver a true classic.
Asking me to break down a fight, I mean, obviously the big focus is on the weight and coming up in the division. And, but look, Terence Crawford fights from both sides. And while Canelo has fought guys who, have been southpaws and so forth, they usually don't switch in the middle of the round. So you never know what can happen in these fights. Canelo is a bigger guy, and Canelo, we saw what happened to him when he went up against Bivol. So we know what that looks like. And so, it's a tough assignment to move up in weight, but Terence Crawford has taken on every tough assignment, and he looks in great shape. And, this guy's really something. So it's hard to say, if you start analyzing and breaking this down, there are advantages for both.
Former world champion Steve Collins offered a measured take on the matchup, refusing to declare a clear favorite. In his view, Canelo Alvarez still has plenty left in the tank to pose a serious threat, while Terence Crawford is arguably the best active fighter in the sport today. Collins pointed out that Alvarez's experience and grit stand opposite Crawford's ring IQ and adaptability, making the outcome too close to call. His breakdown highlights why this fight has split opinion across the boxing world. Both men bring legitimate strengths that could swing the contest. For Collins, it won't be the pre-fight debates that matter, but who executes better once the bell rings.
Picking Canelo, some people firmly picking Crawford. Where's your head at with this?
I'm a fan of Canelo. I love his style. I like how he fights. I like everything about him, his boxing. Crawford is a very good fighter, and some people believe and think that maybe Canelo might not be taking him serious. People think, oh, Canelo's got this attitude, oh, I'm bigger than him, I'm stronger than him. This is what they think Canelo's thinking. And they think, people believe that Canelo goes in underestimating Crawford. He could be in for a shock. I don't believe Canelo is underestimating him because he's too long in the tooth. He's been around the game. He's too wise and too successful to underestimate anybody. But also in saying that, Canelo's been around a long time. He's got a lot of hard fights under his belt, and I wonder, is every fight, next fight is going to be his last fight? Has Canelo still got it in the tank? We don't know. We know on the night Crawford is good enough to beat him. Canelo's good enough to beat Crawford, and in saying that, I'm looking forward to the fight because I really don't know. I can't pick a winner. That's what's great about this fight, because I really cannot pick a winner.
Do you think size will play a factor in this fight?
size can play a factor if you know how to use it to your advantage. Sometimes size can be to a disadvantage. I don't really think the size is going to make that much of a difference, really. But then Canelo is clever enough; he can use his weight to a positive. I don't really know. See, I can't simplify it and say, oh yeah, size will make a difference. But that's what's great about this fight. I can't pick a winner.
Michael Bisping, the former UFC champion, added his voice to the conversation by framing the bout around legacy. He described Canelo Alvarez as the face of modern boxing while recognizing Terence Crawford as the undisputed force in his own division. For Bisping, this clash goes far beyond belts or paychecks. It's about cementing a permanent place in history. A win for Canelo would add another layer to his already legendary career, proving he can conquer even the most skilled of opponents. For Crawford, stepping up to challenge Alvarez represents the ultimate chance to validate his greatness against the sport's biggest star. In Bisping's view, both men are chasing immortality, not just another victory.
After all, and let's remember that Canelo Alvarez is kind of the face of boxing, but he's currently the number 3 pound-for-pound fighter. Canelo is only number 8, and of course number 1 is Alexander Usyk.
I'm Phil.
A man that also, let's remember, moved up weight classes. If Crawford wins here, he becomes the first ever 3-weight undisputed boxing champion, but he's up against big competition in Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez is one of, if not the biggest star in boxing. All of the pressure is on Alvarez being the larger fighter, and also, as I said, being considered the face of boxing. Now Alvarez himself, he has unified the entire super middleweight division. After moving up from lower weight classes himself, unifying is a very rare achievement, but it also means that this fight is for all of Canelo's belt. Canelo is much more experienced, of course. His resume is stacked and he's fought some of the best from 154 all the way up to 175. People like Triple G, 3 times Amir Khan, Floyd Mayweather, Daniel Jacobs, Miguel Cotto, to name but a few. But his home has always been at 168 pounds. Canelo is unbeaten at super middleweight and only losing twice in his whole career, versus Dimitri Bivol at light heavyweight in 2022 and Floyd Mayweather years ago, 2013, at 154 pounds. Funnily enough, 154 pounds is the highest weight that Crawford has competed at. Alright, if you're a boxing fan, then you're in for a treat because we've got a fight that transcends titles. We've got Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed champion, taking on the 3-division king.
Carrington weighed in on the chatter surrounding Canelo Alvarez sparring Jaron Boots Ennis as part of his preparation for the Crawford fight. Carrington downplayed the significance, reminding fans that sparring is just that, sparring. He emphasized that these gym sessions are not true indicators of how a real fight will unfold, since the stakes, pressure, and intensity inside the ring on fight night are on an entirely different level. His comments serve as a reality check against reading too much into training rumors.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is, sparring, bro. Like, it happens. Like, I've had my days where a dude might get the best of me, and then the next 4 or 5 times I spar him, I'm lighting him up. Like, it's like no competition at that point. That's how things happen.
But wouldn't you say, and I could be wrong, you're the pro here, but isn't sparring the most essential part of preparing for a fight, though?
It is to a certain extent. It is. I would say, but see, the thing is, like, when you're fighting, it's certain things you will and will not do. But like when you're sparring, you trying certain things. You're more loose. You're not as like, timid and thinking about throwing certain shots. Like you're really taking your time. Like there's certain times I'm sparring and like really like dead on sparring.
Respected analyst Max Kellerman pointed out that while Canelo Alvarez has already headlined countless blockbuster events, this upcoming showdown represents the biggest stage of Terence Crawford's career. Crawford has never shared the ring with a star of Alvarez's magnitude under such intense global attention. At the same time, Kellerman stressed that this fight carries equal weight for Canelo, as it stands among the most demanding and defining challenges of his storied career.
One thing about Canelo is he's been in a million big events. And I'm going to ask him about this just between you and me when he gets here, don't tell him. But has he ever been in a bigger fight than this one? Is this everyone knows this is easily the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career. But has he ever been in a fight as big as Canelo Alvarez, who's been in a million huge fights? Floyd Mayweather, that was huge and that was Floyd, but he was young then. He was young and he wasn't going to be in front of, 50 million people worldwide. Because this ain't a pay-per-view. This is available to everybody. I think Triple G, those were big fights.
Boxing journalist Dan Raphael described the matchup as compelling but injected a note of caution. He reminded fans that neither Canelo nor Crawford looked at their absolute best in their most recent outings, which leaves room for doubt about whether they are still operating at peak form. Rafael suggested that this fight should serve as motivation for both men to arrive in top condition, ensuring the crowd sees their sharpest versions. His comments highlight the uncertainty surrounding the bout, and why the intrigue is so high. A clash between two elite fighters only reaches its full significance if both step into the ring at their very best.
Highly anticipated Canelo versus Crawford. It's approaching very, very soon. What do you think, Dan?
I mean, it's a big event. It's probably the biggest event of the year in boxing. They're both great fighters. They're both Hall of Famers in waiting. As a boxing fan, I'm thrilled because it's a very fascinating matchup with two all-time greats. With the obviously caveat that you got Terence Crawford moving up two weight classes to see what he can do against the undisputed champ. Neither guy looked good in their last fight, but I suspect they're going to be a lot more into this fight. You know who you got in front of you in September, and Crawford's saying, I'm fighting the great Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's like, I'm fighting the 4-division champ, pound-for-pound type guy, and Crawford that's never lost. I better be really prepared. So I'm hopeful that aspect that they're really tuned in will hope.
Champion Jarrett Hurd shared his personal experience from sparring sessions with Terence Crawford, admitting that he was never able to force Crawford backward. That, in Hurd's view, is a testament to Crawford's strength, toughness, and high-level ring IQ. He suggested this should serve as a warning for Canelo Alvarez. Pressuring Crawford may not be as simple as some predict. Insights like these from seasoned professionals add weight to the argument that Crawford can absorb pressure and handle elite power. It deepens the ongoing debate. Will Canelo's trademark strength be enough to wear down a fighter who has consistently proven his durability against world-class opposition, even behind closed doors?
We're going to try and cut through all the intangibles, all the noise, and figure out exactly who is going to win this fight. There's a couple of things I've noticed before the fight mentally that might give us an indication as to where these two guys are at. The major talking point of physicality and size is something that we're absolutely going to have to cover. I'm definitely going to try and come down one way or the other on this before we see the two men in the ring. Can Crawford take those punches? Will he hit hard enough to hurt Canelo? How has preparation gone for the two men? And finally, tactically, do I think that Crawford can execute a game plan that would allow him to beat Canelo Alvarez and become the first ever 3-weight undisputed world champion? I'm probably going to change my mind a couple of times along the way in this one, guys, because it really is that hard to pick. So watch me as I go through the process of figuring out who wins this damn fight. Hello everyone, and welcome back to A Guy Called Henry. I'm absolutely buzzing for this fight. I know that the promotion and the hype for this one has been a bit weird. I don't know why. I really thought that Netflix were going to go all out on this because obviously the whole reason they put these fights on is to try and get more subscribers on their platform. And look, maybe it does giant numbers and I've just missed something here, but it does feel a little weird, this build-up. Even the weird face-off where they're standing on that float in the water, it's just something not quite there and not quite right with it. But it doesn't matter to me because I love boxing and I can put all that aside and go, I've thought about this endlessly, I've analyzed and assessed everything, and I just have the hardest time picking a winner here because I can see ways that both men can win. I can see what's more likely. I can see which way my mind is going, and it's a real battle for me here because sometimes I just have a feeling about things, but I hate feelings when it comes to boxing. It doesn't matter how you feel. Facts are your friends. I'm going to try and give you as many facts, or at least try and read between the lines as much as I can in this video.
Reports from inside Terence Crawford's camp suggest that training has been relentless, with his team fine-tuning both skill and strategy at the highest level. Earlier whispers of a shoulder injury have been firmly dismissed, with those close to the camp confirming that Crawford remains in peak condition. This ensures fans that he'll step into the ring fully prepared and free from excuses. For a fight of this magnitude, having both men healthy is crucial. It sets the stage for a true clash of greatness where the outcome will be decided purely by skill, will, and execution.
Canelo can land one shot to the body and he can take out Crawford. That's the reality of this fight. But look, the point of what I'm making here is if that shoulder injury is real, we're not going to know about it because Team Crawford's adamantly denied it. And let's just suppose that he is there for a payday. You're not going to know about any injury because they want people to buy the fight. They want people to watch it. And also, they're not going to want their opponent to know that there's any weakness coming into it to give them the best chance possible. And, we know Canelo likes to hit the arms where he can to tire you out and weaken you. So if that shoulder injury is legit, then there's massive problems, but let's assume that it's not going to be an issue in this prediction. There's also been the chat about Canelo sparring Jerome Boots Ennis, which is probably pretty good preparation, being he's a switch hitter, he's smaller and faster, similar to Terence Crawford in some ways, although I also think quite different, but are you going to get much better sparring than that? Probably not. People saying that it might have been too much for Canelo, it might have affected his confidence, taken too much out of him. I saw Teddy Atlas saying that, you don't want to break your guy in the gym and all this, and I just think we have no idea what kind of sparring they were doing. Jerome Ennis could have gone in there and done purely tech sparring.
That's all for today's breakdown. Make sure to stay locked in for more updates as fight night gets closer. Until next time, keep the conversation going and stay tuned.